Before we get started with today's interview, just a quick reminder, click the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe and ding the bell so that you don't miss any of the great interviews that we have coming up. Now, on to today's interview. Welcome back, everybody. Today, my special guest is pedagogue and Piano Safari co-author Katherine Fisher. Her piece on the new National Federation of Music Clubs list is Chinese Lanterns. Welcome, Katherine. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
This piece is just beautiful. It is so much fun. I loved sight reading it. It's a piece that's entirely on the black keys, and it has some wonderful patterns. It fits beautifully under the hands, and it's going to clearly be a student favorite on this new list. Talk to us a little bit about your inspiration for composing Chinese Lanterns.
I wrote Chinese Lanterns at least 10 years ago. So this is a really good question. I've had to think about my inspiration writing it 10 years ago. However, at the time this piece was written, my co-author of Piano Safari, Julie Haig, and I were working on writing Piano Safari Level 2. So as many people might know, in Piano Safari Level 1 and 2, there are pieces that are designed to be taught by rote. And these are very patterned pieces. So my goal when I was writing Chinese Lanterns was to create a rote piece, possibly for the method, that was very patterned. So due to this, Chinese Lanterns was written on the black key groups because those are easy for students to recognize. And if you listen to the piece or look at the score, you'll immediately see that the piece is built on fairly repetitive patterns.
That makes perfect sense. And there's some really interesting pedagogical things that happen within this piece. We get to take our left hand and cross it over our right hand. And in measures 3 and 4, we have a little melody that we have to bring out on top of the moving notes in the right hand. Talk to us a little bit about how you help students to bring out those melodic lines that are kind of hidden within this piece.
Sure, yeah. So I think one of the challenges of playing Chinese Lanterns is just to keep those eighth notes even, and that the hand crossing is happening at a regular time so that the tone and the tempo match even with the hand crossing. So that's one challenge. The other challenge, as you just mentioned, is finding where the melody lies in the A section. So it is definitely played by the left hand, these little single notes with tenutos. And then the right hand on the group of 3 black keys has to remain slightly softer. So it sounds like this. So to have students work on finding that melody, one thing I actually love to do is have them exaggerate it. Because when we exaggerate something, it helps you physically learn the motion, and it's like you're going too far. It's easier to go too far and then bring it back versus try to find that perfect balance right from the beginning. So I usually challenge students to play it as loudly as possible to get this idea across and assure them that it doesn't have to sound pretty at this point. So our main goal is to make a huge difference between the left hand note and the right hand. So. Which is obviously not beautiful. I didn't phrase it. So that wasn't the point at that moment, right? The point was to try to make the left hand come out above the right hand. If students can feel that kind of physical control, then they're able to bring it back to an appropriate amount. So don't be afraid to have your students try to exaggerate the melody line to hear it. You know, even if they play the right hand silently. So. I was fingering the right hand, which I like to call it shadow practice or ghosting. So many teachers might be familiar with that practice strategy also.
Those are excellent strategies. I really appreciate it. This piece also has some overlapping or syncopated pedal. Talk to us about how you help students approach pedal.
Yes, that's a very good question. So I feel like it actually has a similar answer, because what we do is actually have them be very deliberate when they're learning syncopated pedal And they change the pedal after the note is depressed rather than more simultaneously. So it's another exaggerated idea. So basically, we have them start with the pedal down, play a chord or an open interval. They move up, the pedal's down, depress the next chord, the pedal's down, up, down, play, up, down, so it's delayed. Once they can find that motion, then of course it becomes more simultaneous to where the hand comes down and the foot comes up at the same time. So I know you can't see my foot in the video. However, I hope you could hear that. It's taught basically with exaggeration also.
That makes perfect sense. There are a couple of moments in this piece where we have to move to a much different range than we began in. How do you help students approach and gain comfort and confidence in moving to different locations on the piano keyboard?
Well, from the beginning of study in Piano Safari, we do include rote pieces that use the range of the keyboard. So I think from the beginning of study, students are used to doing that. They're not just used to playing right in the middle. We want them to be able to use the entire range. So that's helpful if they come into this piece with that kind of background. But just physically speaking, I found that rather than tell them to lean like sideways, like if they're going up to the high part or sideways to the left for the low notes, if you tell students to lean diagonally into the corner of the piano, it helps them stay better balanced, but it still helps the arm align behind the note that's playing. So that's really helped me. I think as a young teacher, I thought of it as more side to side, but you feel very off balance if you do that. So instead it's more diagonally. I do speak to students about this and also keeping their arm behind the finger that's playing so that they always play with a good technique and a supported tone quality.
That is really helpful and really unique. I've never heard someone say that before. I love that. What else would you like us to know about Chinese lanterns?
So when I play this piece, I'm basically envisioning a dark night sky and these little left-hand crossover notes with the tenutos are like just the little bright points of light that a lantern would provide. So I think having that image is helpful. And also, as you're watching lanterns floating in the night sky, the wind might be blowing them around gently. So I feel like that has to have the right feel in the piece. We don't want to play the eighth notes so strictly that the piece doesn't have freedom, almost as if the wind is blowing and moving. So I like students to feel lightness and freedom. And especially in this middle section, I do want them to have freedom and take rubato and take time.
That is phenomenally helpful. My guest today has been pedagogue and Piano Safari co-author Katherine Fisher. Her piece on the new National Federation of Music Clubs list is Chinese Lanterns. You can find it at pianosafari.com. Thank you so much for being here today, Katherine.
Thank you so much.